Hi, Chris. Steve Goff from the Washington Post. What is your win or lose tomorrow? What is your level of satisfaction or accomplishment in this group of very different players brought together for this tournament over the last several weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think first I want to preface, condolences to the Central Texas floodings. It's been terrible to hear, but I think, not just myself, but U.S. Soccer are hoping that everybody's okay. But to answer your question, um, I think there's been a lot of success this summer. I think just with how the team's grown. But me personally, I like to win trophies, and I think especially against Mexico. So if we don't win tomorrow, I'll be disappointed. But I think when you look at the overall scheme of the whole camp, I think it's been a summer full of growth for sure.
Seth Vertelny, Pro Soccer Wire. Every game in this tournament's been different, of course, but I wonder if there's anything that you've kind of recognized in this group that you've particularly liked that you've seen throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've seen that we kind of like to fight. So I think that's something that maybe has been missing from the national team over the last few camps, few months, few years. And I think that's something that we kind of no, we didn't come into camp saying that we want to fight, but I think if teams want to bring it to us, then they have something else coming for them. But of course, we want to win games. But sometimes in Concacaf, it's not pretty, so you have to do the dirty things.
Second row in the middle.
Hi, Chris. Omnispon, USsoccer.com. Matt Freese was up here talking about how he's relied on vets like you. They've been in their fair share of Mexico battles to kind of, lift the burden off that and kind of prepare them for the intensity. What have you, told these young guys about, what it's like to play in those environments?
Yeah, it's weird to be considered a vet now. But no, I mean, I don't really think I can tell them much. I think they've seen the rivalry over the last few years, and I think every time we play Mexico, they bring a good crowd of people. So I think Guatemala was a good kind of teaser for some of the young guys who hadn't experienced a hostile crowd. But me personally, I'm going to try to lead by example tomorrow. I don't think there's anything else I can tell you or I can tell them. I think if you're not ready for the Mexico game, I don't think you'll be ready for any game.
To your left, second row.
Ryan Tolman from Goal. Chris, you faced Ro Jimenez twice this season with Palace. Obviously, a lot of different things, playing in a back three versus a back two, national team, everything like that. But when you face a player like him at this level, what do you do to try and slow him down? What is he like as a player? What kind of challenges does he bring? What experiences can you bring from having faced him in all of these different settings?
Yeah, I mean, Ro Jimenez is a baller. I think everybody sees it, not just in the Premier League, but also for the national team. He's done it in both. But like you said, I have had success playing against him this season. And every time I play him, it's something different. But I think just kind of trying to do the things that limit what he can do well. So maybe not allowing him to compete for many headers or just being physical with him, I think is probably two of the big things that I plan on doing tomorrow.
Jeff Carlisle with ESPN. Kind of piggyback on Seth's question a little bit. You mentioned how sometimes that fight has been there and sometimes it hasn't been. Why do you think that is? Why does it ebb and flow like that? And what is it about this group that it kind of came back?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us in the past have played in European leagues where this is kind of maybe frowned upon. But I think whenever you see this group, I'd say it's a predominantly MLS-ish squad, but it's everybody wants to represent their country, and I think the grit and the fight that I'm speaking about comes from a place of passion, not from being arrogant. But I think it's a place where we want to defend not just the person who just got fouled or whatever the case was, but we're also defending our country and defending our pride. So I think that's something that we don't take lightly. And again, we love each other as we're a big family. And if you have siblings, that if anybody messes with your sibling, well, I guess for lack of better words, you kind of have to kill them. But you're allowed to do whatever to your siblings, but nobody from the outside can.
There's definitely a better word. We'll do two together here in the second row.
Hey, Chris, Paul Tenorio from The Athletic. You guys have talked about the group becoming closer like a family. I wonder what your experience has been over these last 40 days in getting to know the coaching staff and getting to know Mauricio. This is his first time with the national team going through a tournament. Usually when you're in windows with him, it's 8 to 10 days, game every 3 days. How have you been able to get to know him better? How do you feel like maybe he's gotten to know the group better?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the big positives of coming into this camp is that, I learned not just the players, but the coaching staff better. And, they can kind of come off as intimidating when you first come into camp because they have such a good CV. And, like I said, they've coached some of the best players in the world. So from the outside looking in, that can be a little bit intimidating. But then once you finally get to meet them, you understand that they're all just big teddy bears and they all really care about family. That's been the number one thing that they've stressed all camp long. And so, I think that's been the biggest thing that I've learned from them is that, we are a big family and we're all going to fight for each other, but also we're going to do it in our way and we're doing our style. And I think his styles of play, now that we had a lot more time to kind of adapt to it, I think we've took on pretty well. But I think, like you said, when you can only do it in 6, 7, 8 days, I think it becomes pretty tough. So again, I think one of the biggest things that we kind of learned this summer is that coaching staff and players are starting to really understand each other.
Hey, Chris, Doug McIntyre, Fox Sports. I'm going to piggyback on Amya's question. You're one of the guys that has played against Mexico, including in a final just last year in the Nations League. What about those games, what experiences from those games can you use that's going to help you and your team tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just being smart, of course, I think for both sides, I think this game means a little bit more just because of who we are as countries. But I think also when there's a final involved, it also means a little bit more. But again, I think it's there's been games in the past that have gotten ugly, and I think it's making sure that you don't kind of fall into that. I won't say temptation, but fall into that kind of darkness per se that can happen in the game. So I think it's making sure that you stay on the field, but also that you give your team the chance to win the game by not doing stupid fouls or get into a stupid fight.
Thanks, Chris. Next will be Diego Luna.